Jack Harlan froze in his tracks, staring at the three shadows huddled in the dim light of his barn lamp. It was a brutal Montana blizzard whipping through Willow Ridge, and these women drenched, shivering, their soaked dresses hugging bodies that stirred something deep and forbidden in him didn't belong in his isolated world. The tall one with midnight hair leaned against a post, her caramel skin glistening with melting snow, each drop sliding down her neck in ways that made Jack's pulse race despite his ironclad vow to steer clear of such distractions for over 2 decades. The young blonde chewed her lip, her ripped blouse exposing more than any proper lady would allow, defiance blazing in her eyes. And the third, a striking woman with a wise, piercing gaze, stepped forward with a poise that screamed worldly experience no small-town gal could match. "Please," she breathed, and Jack's defenses shattered like brittle ice. In that instant, the virgin rancher of Willow Ridge knew his solitary fortress was crumbling in. He wondered if he'd emerge unscathed from the storm ahead. Jack's fingers shook harder than during his first hunting trip as he ushered the trio into his cozy cabin, the wind howling like a beast outside, sealing them in a space that felt tighter than a noose and steamier than a summer drought. "We ran from Madame Louise's place," the older one explained, water dripping from her chestnut locks. "I'm Evelyn. This here's Daisy," she nodded to the feisty blonde, "and Sophia," the dark-haired beauty with native features shown. He'd later learn met his gaze steadily, her onyx eyes holding secrets that tugged at his gut. Evelyn's gown, once elegant satin, now molded to her ample form like a glove, and Jack fought to focus on her story, not the firelight dancing over her curves. "Louise planned to hand me over to a brute who gets off on pain," Evelyn continued bitterly. Daisy snorted, the sound sharp as a whip crack. "At least it was one guy for you. She had a lineup of 4 waiting for me." Her torn top barely held together, revealing pale skin without a hint of modesty, and Jack's cheeks burned as his eyes wandered despite himself. But it was Sophia who unraveled him completely. As she warmed by the hearth, her damp skirt hiked up, showing toned legs that blended power and allure. And when she caught his stare with those haunted eyes, Jack felt a pull beyond mere desiring an ancient ache he'd long suppressed. "You're hurt," he rasped, spotting the blood on her ankle. She shrugged it off as a fence snag, but Jack was already fetching water and bandages, his protective side overriding years of self-imposed isolation. Kneeling before her on the worn floor, he lifted her foot gently, his rough hands trembling against her smooth skin. Cleaning the cut meant pushing her hem higher, exposing the sweep of her thigh, and Jack's breath hitched. Sophia did too, but her expression held awe, not scorn. "Your touch. It's kind," she murmured in a soft accent. "Not like the others. In her life, men's hands meant only cruelty." "I won't harm you," Jack vowed, meaning it down to his bones. "None of you. You're safe here." Evelyn observed from afar, a softness creeping in her face, while Daisy's tough facade cracked, revealing the scared kid underneath. As Jack wrapped the wound, his eyes locked with Sophia's, and a spark ignite draw, perilous and utterly unavoidable. Outside, the gale raged like fury unleashed. Inside, for damaged spirits teetered on the brink of salvation or ruin. The storm locked them in for 5 grueling days, each hour chipping away at Jack's barriers like relentless erosion. Evelyn commandeered his kitchen with effortless skill, a natural caretaker who'd lost her husband young and left her 9-year-old son with kin while she scraped by in ways that shamed her. Watching her stoop to pull bread from the oven, her dress straining over her hips, Jack rediscovered urges he'd buried deep. "A decent man's worth more than oil," she said one evening, her hand grazing his arm, sending jolts through him like lightning. "Why shut yourself off from life, Jack?" Daisy was a wildfire, her sharp wit and bold moves testing him constantly. The Irish lass would hop on his table, legs dangling, skirt riding up shamelessly, spinning yarns that scorched his ears and tightened his jeans. "Ever been with a woman, Jack?" she teased on night 3, eyes twinkling with trouble. His flush gave him away, and she chuckled warmly. "We won't devour you, handsome. But life's too short for regrets." Yet beneath her bravado lurked vulnerability, stories of betrayal that made Jack's blood boil, men who'd used and discarded her like trash. Sophia, though, invaded his thoughts like a persistent melody, beautiful and bittersweet. She said little, but her presence hummed with quiet intensity. On the 4th night, with the others asleep, Jack found her by the window, moonlight casting her an ethereal glow through his spare nightshirt. "Bad dreams?" he whispered. Tears streaked her face. "Of my tribe before the settlers. Before everything broke." Jack drew near, compelled. She spoke of Shoshone ways, a term Naquin, a man with a woman's gentle heart, not frail but uniquely strong. Her fingers hovered near his cheek. "That's you, Jack Harlan." The air crackled with tension. He leaned in, craving her lips, but she pulled back. "You don't know, Muhat, I've endured to survive." "Doesn't matter," he growled, realizing the truth. Whatever her scars, she was worth every battle. But Daisy's voice sliced the moment. "Ain't this precious?" Evelyn shushed her, maternal and wise. "Some flames need time." The spell broke, Sophia retreating, leaving Jack's heart thundering. Certain change was inevitable. Morning 5 brought not just blue skies, but the rumble of trucks and the cock of shotguns. Jack was chopping wood when the posse rolled Upate men, led by Sheriff Kane, whose badge was greased by Madame Louise's bribes. "Harlan," Kane barked, "you've got our property." "Hanging over, Nufus." Jack's hand found his Remington, steady as steel. Behind him, the door creaked. Evelyn, Daisy, and Sophia emerged, chins high. "No one's property on my land," Jack shouted, voice ringing like a challenge. Kane sneered. "These ain't ladies, boy-the-ree whores. Belongings get returned." The slur ignited Jack not shock, but fierce indifference to labels. "Only thing returning is Udo, whatever pit you slithered from." Sophia gasped, but the fight erupted. It became Willow Ridge folklore, though tales twisted the facts. Folks said Jack stood alone against 8 like a hero from old westerns. Reality was fiercer. Sophia vanished into the woods mid-standoff, reappearing with a handmade bow from birch and arrows tipped with her own feathers. While Jack traded shots from behind his flipped truck, dropping 4 with precise blasts, Sophia struck like a phantom, arrows piercing hearts silently. Daisy, bloodied from a graze, snatched Jack's spare shotgun. "I won't go down easy," she snarled, lips split. Evelyn yanked her to cover, but not before Daisy felled 2 more. Kane charged wildly. Daisy's blast ended him in the crimson snow. Silence fell heavily. Jack surveyed the carnage he'd taken lives before, but never for souls he couldn't lose. Daisy slumped, feverish from her wound. Evelyn tended her efficiently. Sophia stood vigilant, bow ready. "This isn't done," Jack muttered. "Louise's Pole State troopers, maybe feds." Evelyn nodded grimly. That night, as Daisy battled infection, the women chose pack and flee. Jack found them bundling gear. "You stay," Sophia insisted, avoiding his eyes. "We won't ruin you." His chest ached like a vice. "I'll go with you." Evelyn's tone was firm, kind. "You're good, Jack, but we're fighters hardened in ways you're not." The words stung, frustrating him with their truth, sparking debates in his mind about worth and redemption. They slipped away at dawn, but Sophia lingered. On the porch, stars fading, she appeared like a vision in Evelyn's lone dress. "What we shared, it meant the world," she whispered, tracing his jaw. Jack's throat tightened. "Then stay." Her kiss was frantic, tasting of sorrow and spice, etching into his memory. In Shoshone, Soka means my soul. You're mine, but souls can shatter and endure. She pressed a carved stone pendant into his hand warm, symbolic. Some paths circle back. Evelyn pecked his cheeks sisterly. Find peace, Jack. Build a life, but remember us. Daisy, arm slung, punched him lightly. You saintly idiot, you showed us not all men are beasts. Then they vanished into the mist, leaving Jack hollow, questioning if his heart could mend. Locals descended later. Doc Ellis for wounds, County Sheriff Reed for the probe, neighbors buzzing with gossip. They found Jack transformed resilient, wiser, less withdrawn. You did right, Reed said, eyeing the bodies. Kane's crew was scum. Feds wanted Louise's operation gutted. But Jack's gaze lingered on the horizon, pendant heavy in his pocket. Sophia haunted his dreams, her absence a frustrating void that fueled inner turmoil over love's cruelty. 20 months blurred by, seasons mending wounds. Jack Harlan shed his reclusive shell. Willow Ridge saw him as a steadfast guardian, fair and unyielding. Women noticed him now. No more awkward rebuff. She even dated the local librarian briefly, but ghosts held him back. His ranch thrived, his legend swelled, tales of the showdown embellished, but Jack kept the raw truth sacred. On a crisp October dusk, as Jack broke a wild stallion in his pen, hoofbeats echoed. A rider approached through the golden Hazia woman on a spotted mare, raven hair whipping free. She dismounted gracefully, leaned on the fence, and simply stared. The pendant warmed against his skin. I face my demons out there, Sophia said, voice like smooth bourbon. My heritage, my pain, my healing. Her smile promised eternity. Now, I want our future together. Jack vaulted the rail, pulling her close. They married that spring, building a life of love and family, proving redemption's power. No more running, just enduring bliss. What do you think about Jack's journey and the women's choices? Share your opinions in the comments. Take a stand on the tough themes like survival, labels, and second chances. Let's hear your views.